All right, so you're ready to dive into the world of tech, creativity, making those visions a reality on stage. You're prepping for a technical director interview, right?
Mhm.
We're going deep into RoleCatcher's resources, give you that edge, like a little secret weapon.
Exactly. It's not just knowing the role, it's about owning that interview, showing them you're the technical director they need.
RoleCatcher nails it right off the bat.
Yeah.
They say a technical director transforms artistic visions into technical realities. That blend of creativity, the tech skills, it's about speaking both languages, bringing those ideas to life.
And it's more than just the gear, right? RoleCatcher's career guide, they get it. You're coordinating sets, wardrobe, lights, the whole shebang. You're like a conductor, making sure it all works together.
Okay, let's get down to it. RoleCatcher's sample interview questions, they're gold. It's like a sneak peek into the interviewer's mind. First up, what inspired you to pursue the role of technical director? We can't just say, oh, I like computers, right?
Nope, definitely not. It's about that spark, that moment you knew, this is it. Rolecatcher's right. Highlight your passion, sure. But it's also showing how you built those skills. Was it a play? Figuring out how something worked. That feeling when you crack a tough tech puzzle.
It's like you're telling your story.
Yeah.
And you've been on interview panels, right?
Yeah.
What makes a story stick?
I remember this one candidate talked about rigging lights for their high school play. Used Christmas lights. It wasn't fancy, but their passion, you could feel it. That's what interviewers remember.
I love that. It's like RoleCatcher says, let that enthusiasm shine. Okay, next question. How do you stay up to date with the latest technological advancements?
This is where you show you're not just keeping up, you're ahead. Conferences, publications, those are great. But think deeper. Niche online forums, maybe a debate on new lighting tech, shows you're in the mix, part of the conversation.
Right, like you're already speaking their language. Okay, question 3. How do you approach prioritizing technical projects? Backstage can be crazy, right? So many things going on.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine multiple projects, deadlines, everyone wants a piece of you. You've got to handle the pressure, but also make smart choices.
So it's not just saying you prioritize, it's about showing how you do it. What are your key factors?
RoleCatcher breaks it down well. Needs, impact, urgency, importance, you've got to make tough calls. Maybe a last-minute set change throws off the lighting cues. Walking them through your process using words like triage for projects shows you're organized, strategic.
Triage for projects. I like that. Okay, question 4 gets into the nitty-gritty. What is your experience with project management methodologies such as Agile or Waterfall? Sometimes these terms, they're like a whole other language.
They can be, but you got to show you're fluent, like having different tools, knowing which one's right for the job. Maybe you used Agile for a show with lots of creative changes, being flexible, or a big opera, fixed schedule, budget that might need waterfall structure.
So it's about being adaptable, not just following a method, but understanding it. All right, curveball time. Can you describe a technical project you led that faced significant challenges and how you overcame them?
The classic, tell me about a time you failed but then totally rocked it question. Everyone loves a comeback story, shows resilience.
Right, and RoleCatcher's big on specifics here. Don't just list challenges, paint the picture. Tight deadline, technical meltdown, the director changed their vision at the last minute.
And own those bumps. Nobody's perfect. It's how you handle it, what you learn. That's authentic.
This is where RoleCatcher's AI feedback for interview practice is amazing. It's like having a coach analyze your answers, helping you shape that story. Show those problem-solving skills.
It's true. Refining your delivery, making sure that story has the challenge, the action, and of course, the triumph at the end.
Love it. Okay, question 6. How do you ensure that technical projects align with business goals and objectives? Sounds obvious, but it's crucial, right?
Absolutely. Imagine a killer lighting design that blows the budget for the whole show. Impressive? Sure. Practical? Not so much. They need to know you're thinking big picture, not just the cool factor.
And that ties back to understanding all the players involved. How do you bridge that gap between the artistic vision and the budget realities?
Communication is key. RoleCatcher gets that. Think of a time you had to sell a technical solution. Maybe it seemed pricey up front, but saved money in the long run. How did you get everyone on board, tech team and the money folks?
You're like a translator, helping everyone speak the same language. And speaking of language, RoleCatcher's AI-powered CV and resume builder, that's a game changer. It makes your skills and experience pop for the job.
For real, like having a secret weapon, making sure your resume hits those keywords, those phrases that get their attention.
All right, on to question 7, all about leadership. How do you manage technical teams to ensure they are productive and motivated?
Think of it like conducting an orchestra. Each person has their role, their strengths.
And RoleCatcher is all about those relationships. How do you build that team spirit, that shared purpose? Any stories come to mind?
I once worked with a team, super talented, but no unity. Started doing brainstorming sessions, not just about the tech, but the artistic vision, that understanding, that feeling of ownership. It made them so much more motivated.
You created a culture, an environment where everyone thrives. And speaking of thriving, question 8. What is your approach to managing technical risks in projects? Because, let's face it, tech can be unpredictable.
Oh, tell me about it. Opening night, curtains about to go up, boom, a microphone dies. You've got to be cool under pressure, anticipate the hiccups, have that backup plan ready.
Like a chess game, thinking ahead. Your opponent is Murphy's Law, and your moves are those risk strategies RoleCatcher talks about.
Exactly. Identify the risks. How likely are they? How bad could it be? Then you plan. Maybe it's a tricky rigging setup or equipment that's known to act up. Walk them through how you spotted the risk, figured out the impact, and had a plan to tackle it.
Shows you're proactive, not just reacting. Okay, last question from RoleCatcher's list. How do you balance technical innovation with practical considerations such as budget and timeline? The eternal struggle.
It never ends. We all want the latest, greatest tech. But the real world, budgets, deadlines, that's reality too.
Right. Like a magician, you want amazing illusions, but you've got limits.
At that. And a good technical director, they're like magicians too. Finding that magic even with limited resources. Think of a time you got creative. Maybe you repurposed old equipment, found a cheaper solution, but the art didn't suffer.
It's about being resourceful, understanding that balance between pushing boundaries and staying grounded.
Yeah, finding that sweet spot where it all comes together. And that's where RoleCatcher's AI, it's a game changer. Like having a secret weapon for your prep.
Let's talk about that. We mentioned the AI-powered CV and resume builder, the interview practice feedback. How do those tools make a difference?
Okay, so say you're interviewing at this cutting-edge theater company, right? Immersive, the whole deal. RoleCatcher's AI can look at that job description, pick out the keywords that make your resume stand out, even suggest projects from your past, things you might not think of. It's like having someone translate your skills into technical director language.
Like it knows what the interviewer wants to see. And the
Yeah.
interview practice, I mean, everyone gets nervous, even the pros.
Totally. But picture this. You practice your answers, common interview questions, and the AI gives you feedback, your delivery, the content, even body language. Like having a coach right there, helping you build confidence.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Takes away the guesswork. You know, earlier you talked about that aha moment when you knew this was your path. What was that for you? What made you go, this is it. This is what I want?
Funny how some things stick with you. I was working on a college production, Midsummer Night's Dream, and the lighting, the projections, they made it magical. Transported you, that's when I got it. Tech direction, it's not just the tech, it's storytelling.
Powerful stuff. Using tech to make people feel something, to create that experience. RoleCatcher talks about using your own experiences in those behavioral questions, like, tell us about a project that went sideways. How do you turn those stories into proof of your skills?
It's all about storytelling with a point. Don't just list problems, create a scene, you know? Take them there. What was the project? The pressure, the curveball that came out of nowhere. Then, what did you do? Think outside the box. Teamwork. That ability to adapt on the fly, that's huge in live events.
So it's not just about the problem, it's what you did about it.
100%. And then you loop back to what you learned. Did it change how you do things? Show a skill you have? Maybe just reinforce how important teamwork is. It's about growth, showing you're self-aware.
Those are such good points, turning those oops moments into learning experiences.
Exactly. And that's what makes a great technical director. Handling the chaos, thinking on your feet, finding those solutions when things go off script.
It's like those skills are in their DNA,
Right.
right? Be able to handle anything.
Yeah.
And that takes us back to something we talked about before, staying ahead of the tech curve. It's not just fixing today's problem, it's seeing tomorrow's coming.
Exactly. That's where the learning never stops. RoleCatcher mentions conferences, publications, all valuable. But imagine you're in the interview. You talk about how you were on some niche forum, deep dive into some tech stuff, and boom, it sparked an idea for a rigging solution, more sustainable, for a show you did. That's showing them you're not just learning, you're using it.
You're speaking their language, you're already solving problems they haven't even thought of yet. Okay, before we wrap up, there's something else. It's huge for both sides. The candidate, the company, the culture. How do you figure out if it's a good fit while you're still in the interview?
Such a good point. It's like they're checking you out, you're checking them out. RoleCatcher doesn't have a chapter on this, but you can read between the lines. How do they talk about their team? The projects they do? How they deal with things going wrong? Is it collaborative, creative, or maybe a little more, top-down?
Like you're piecing together clues,
Yeah.
right? From what they say, how they say it, even their body
Right.
language.
And don't be afraid to just ask. What's the management style? Do they support you learning and growing? Do they like it when people try new things, take risks?
You got to find that match, shared values, everyone pulling in the same direction. And speaking of shared goals, something that's getting more and more important, sustainability. It's not just about the wow factor, it's about doing it responsibly.
100%. Sustainability, that should be front and center for everyone in entertainment. And you know what? You can bring it up in the interview, even if they don't.
So how do you do that without sounding like you're going off on a tangent?
It's about making those connections. Like, they ask about problem solving, you talk about a time you found a greener solution, or they ask about your career goals, you mention wanting to work somewhere that cares about the planet.
You're showing them you're not just good at your job, you're aware of the bigger picture. And speaking of the bigger picture, one last nugget from RoleCatcher I loved, following up after the interview. Not just a quick thanks, but really making that connection.
So important. A good thank you note, it goes a long way. RoleCatcher even suggests using their AI to help you tailor it. But even beyond that, you're reminding them you're excited, you remember that thing you talked about, and you really want to be on the team.
It's that final impression, that mic drop moment. Well, it seems like we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of technical director interviews.
It's flown by.
We've covered so much. What the role is, those interview questions, how AI can give you an edge, even company culture, sustainability, all of it.
And through it all, it's that passion, right? Taking those artistic visions, making them real.
Absolutely. So to everyone out there ready to take on the world as a technical director, go out there and blow them away. Show them what you've got.
Period.
The stage is set. The lights are waiting. Until next time, keep creating, keep innovating, and keep shining.